All right, guys, actually, I had a whole nother video planned, filmed, ready to go, but this right here is breaking news about PayPal, so I figured I need to get this out to you guys right now. I'll release that other one tomorrow, whenever the case is. Doesn't matter at this stage. Heck, we got thunderstorms going on here, everything else, so if you happen to hear it, that's what that is. But, we got to get into this right here. I appreciate each and one of you guys being here, and, like the video if you like the style video and you kind of want to see more of this. Or let me know down in the comments if this is what you guys want to see. But let's talk about the outgoing CEO, Dan Schulman. He was at Goldman Sachs Communicopia, if I pronounced that properly. I think that I did. Anyways, he was discussing PayPal there, and he dropped a ton of massive news about PayPal there that, I've kind of just seeing it all in totality is really what kind of set it off for me. There's some new things in there. There's some other things that we kind of knew, but kind of seeing it all bunched together was really, really eye-opening. So let's jump right into that here. Now, this was actually a tweet or an X, or I don't know. You guys tell me what they call it nowadays. I have no idea. Anyways, it was posted from a person named Crossroads there. So I want to make sure I give credit where credit's due. And they basically broke down the speech perfectly. I mean, it was one of those things when I read it. Actually, somebody posted the tweet in my group. Went through Reddit, had to go back, actually listen to the interview again, and actually kind of make sure that what was posted was actually there. And it was just kind of like one of those, wow, it caught a bunch of things I didn't catch. So great job by Crossroads, catching a lot of things there and breaking it all down wonderfully. So I'm not going to cover everything that's in there, but these right here were some of the highlights that just jumped out for me that I wanted to bring to you guys. So unbranded checkout with Braintree, they basically have been doubling down on that, as we all know, on unbranded/PSP, and it's been a tremendous success so far, and we've heard that in the earnings calls as well. They have best-in-class PSP platform, and they're actually going right after Stripe, which I didn't really think about that until after the fact. And I was like, oh yeah, that absolutely is what that is. And I know they've mentioned it before, but I just didn't draw a direct correlation there. Down market small businesses is a high margin business, which I did not know that the margins were so high, especially as you move more downstream. And pretty much everybody is in the same place in pricing. And that obviously he feels that is absolutely huge. And they actually aim to redefine the entire checkout process. Basically, the big takeaway for me is they're obviously seeing the same exact thing we see in regards to the opportunity with Braintree. And I also know as they move this forward, it's a much, basically a higher margin product than before, which of course, if this can continue to grow out and it's continuing to really serve their customer base more importantly, that right there can be a huge boost to EPS. So even if they don't necessarily get the massive revenue growth that we want to see, you'll start to see the underlying EPS really start to grow as this continues to take off. Dan also noted that vendors evaluate unbranded on three things: uptime, basically being equal or better than their competitors, which I doubt there's very much downtime with any of these; authorization rate, which is 85% versus 65% what the industry rate is, which is absolutely huge. And I can tell you guys right now, and last one right there is loss rates are actually better. But I can tell you guys right there, authorization rates are huge in regards to, I run a business as well. And as people sign up for various things that I offer, through, various different product offerings and actually some other business lines altogether that I own, that right there in terms of getting that authorization rate all the way through, basically having the charge go from start to finish, regardless of the reason behind it is, the fact that they're at 85% versus 65% is really massive in regards to, as a vendor looking at competitors, hey, you've got to start looking at some things like that, because you can see, like, for instance, Stripe is the one that processes the payments for my group that I have right here, for our YouTube community. And that right there, I can see that exact number, how many folks are actually able to get through the entire checkout process, start to finish, without any sort of hiccups or anything. And I can tell you right now, Braintree has me thinking twice about what's going on there with Stripe. Now we'll see if something actually comes out of that or not. Obviously, there's a lot of business underneath that happens as well. But in regards to that authorization rate, man, if I could get 20% better authorization rate than I currently have right now, man, that's a lot of money that comes in there. And think about that across multiple businesses. And if you own a small business, think about if you could increase that, transaction rate up that 20% or so, that's huge for you as a business owner. And right there, it says per Schulman, they're better because we have more data, more information. And he also noted that PayPal often comes in as unbranded and drives maybe 20% of the checkouts, but that this can increase to 90% in 6 to 12 months as merchants evaluate Braintree's success. He added, what if we can take the other 80% of merchants' checkout and create a one-click checkout flow for them using the data and information we have? Basically, we have more data and information than anybody else, and we can create a one-click checkout flow for you in regards to, you as a vendor there using their product, which again, another way to kind of instill that you get yourself, the customer all the way through the entire checkout process to the other end there. That's massive right there. And I actually love the one-click checkout type flow long-term in regards to that being, obviously you see it on Amazon's the place I see it all the time, to where you just basically click the button and buy it. And of course, that, the longer the person has to think about before they purchase the product, the more time they, give themselves a reason to not buy that product. So that right there is big for people using that. And of course, that drops straight to PayPal's bottom line there. They jumped right into buy now, pay later, and they're clearly a top 3 player in the world. And obviously, he'd argue they're a top 2 player in the world and number 1 in the US. Probably one of the most successful things we've ever launched. And that's saying a lot given everything else that PayPal's done. They have the highest authorization rates in the industry. Authorization rate when the customer is known is 90+%. Authorization rate when unknown is 60 to 65%, which that right there obviously gives you, the battle in regards to having more data. Obviously, the more data you have means you know the customer. Of course, means a more successful checkout rate on the back end there. PayPal has more data than competitors, so excels at buy now, pay later. With buy now, pay later, checkout volumes increased 30% and churn was reduced 10 to 15%. And again, I can think through my own businesses and think about how much more revenue and then bottom line profits would come in if I could do that and get those numbers across all of my businesses. Heck, even if they can give me half of that, it would be worth a transition over to do that. And remember, guys, these are newer products. These are not legacy style products. Like obviously, I understand PayPal as itself is a legacy type product, but they're not legacy products. These are new lines of business here that as they continue to ramp up per se, are going to draw more and more revenue, more and more bottom line dollars to that bottom line. So we're talking about stagnating growth. Where is PayPal going from here? Some of the big bear cases against it is it's dead and competition's coming and all these other things like that. Well, right there, they're showing you they're having huge success, higher margins, not only for themselves, but for their customers as well, and product lines that are new for PayPal. Next up, research and development and AI. And there's that magic word. My gosh, if they would just use it more in a conference call, the stock would go to the moon, it seems. But they have 200 ongoing experiments on checkout. Now, they didn't really give a lot of specifics. So, obviously there's a lot of stuff going on in the background there. AI brings efficiency and value proposition for clients. What we're seeing is 20 to 40% productivity improvement in our developer tool sets and life cycle. It's massive. AI will redefine software development, blah, blah, blah. Firms that have unique data set at scale can be used to redefine checkout. They are working on putting a PayPal AI assistant right into the app to be able to answer any question. That's actually interesting right there to be able to just, I don't know, I guess essentially ask the assistant what to do, when you get an error code or something like that. I'm not sure exactly what that means. For the network, Vault AI, largest vault in the Western world, over 1 billion tokenized instruments. And he said in the age of AI, it's the companies that have the most unique data sets that can really utilize the models in ways that can create value propositions that are difficult for others to provide. So to me, this was much more of they're leaning into the AI narrative as well, obviously using AI. There's nothing for me here that says, oh my gosh, the stock's going to the moon tomorrow. So please, if you hear somebody out there talking about PayPal and their use of AI and how it's going to, create a $10 trillion opportunity or whatever, ignore that sort of stuff. We know that's silliness. But in regards to them actually utilizing AI and not falling behind in regards to that being able to provide efficiencies into the future, it's at least good to know that they are actively doing that right now, versus kind of talking about we're going to be doing it. They're already doing it there. So that's good news there. And then the next discussion was about stablecoin, and it may be that in 5 years from now, we look back at our stablecoin launch as one of the most important and innovative things, if I could read, innovative things that we ever did. Working with regulators, contrast that with Facebook's Libra, a little shot there at Facebook. No risky, odd asset involvement. It seems like that's the big downer on crypto, even though it is the future that everybody just views it as, all the crap coins that are out there and everything else. It's just a mess in that space. Basically saying when regulation comes, we're going to be just fine getting around it. It's kind of the way I took that. In the future, international remittances, business to business, micropayments at 1/100th of the cost, transaction speeds in seconds, not days or weeks, with merchants accepting stable coins, redefining how the industry looks. Now, for me, this is, again, another future state thing. I can't, anybody trying to derive what the actual, bottom line, profit and revenue drivers this is going to be, nobody knows. Everybody's making pure guesses on that. But at least if the transactions start to go that way, and if the regulation kind of falls the way some people think it's going to fall in regards to being able to use stable coins and a lot of other things like that in the future, they're positioned to be able to take advantage and be one of the leaders in that, as opposed to being behind in regards to that. So again, another thing that's positive, but not anything that I'm thinking that's going to help out the stock price right now today. So please, that one and the previous one, when they're talking about AI, not going to help the stock price today. Those are all future looking type endeavors, knowing that, hey, they're not just a dying legacy company. They are looking towards those future things. And finally up, we had Venmo here with Pay with Venmo is a huge opportunity. Amazon, McDonald's, Starbucks, Xbox, big in PSP business. Volume grows 70% or so, which that's huge. Further interoperability coming along with the ability to use it offline, which is very, very interesting to be able to use that offline as well. Obviously, it will help out in a lot of developing areas of the world, some places like that. Or just whenever, cell service seems to suck, even when you're in the middle of the city sometimes, for whatever reason. So that right there is huge in regards to they're seeing more and more growth with Venmo. One of my favorite comments to read is, I hate PayPal for, reason XYZ. I only use Venmo now. And I just kind of chuckle. I don't even bother responding because it's just like, oh yeah, PayPal owns Venmo, guys. Obviously I want them to keep using Venmo because it helps out my PayPal shares. But, anyways, the point being, huge opportunity there with Venmo, and it is growing. So a lot of exciting stuff right here with this, not just for now, current, but what's going on in the future, and a lot of things that are happening very, very quietly under the surface, guys. I'm telling you right now, the Braintree opportunity is the one that's going to be the future driver of PayPal, in my opinion. That to me is going to be what really takes them to that next level there. And even if they don't get to the next level, I don't think they need to do that in order for this to be a great buy, just given how beaten down it is. But looking at some of what Braintree is actually able to give customers, it's just huge, guys. That right there is where the opportunity is, the big opportunity long term. And of course, some other things like the stablecoin and some of the AI things, we'll see what they can do in the future with that. But that's all future state. So I'm not counting that in any sort of valuation for the stock or anything else right now. So anyways, just wanted to bring this to you guys right there. And remember, if you want access to my group, you want to be able to see tweets like this in real time as they come out, be able to have discussions on our live Q&As where we sit down and we kind of discuss points like this and items like this as they come up and have real-time discussions. Slide into my DMs. You want to take 5 courses for free, you have access to that stock analyzer tool and a ton more. Make sure you check out the pinned comment down there and see if a membership's right for you. And click this video here if you want to see exactly what I'm buying in this market, and click here to see my exact plan for this market. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.